Today's collectible spot, we're having a look at the new Hasbro G.I. Joe Kre-o Toys R Us exclusive Checkpoint Alpha. This appears to be set A3361, features Law and Order and Firefly. Law and Order. Blast from the past from the G.I. Joe movie. Up at the top there, we've got Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I'm glad with at least these smaller sets you get 2 Kre-os. Now, Transformers I liked, but when I found out they were coming out with G.I. Joe Kre-os, that excited me immensely. You get 83 pieces, product shown in fantasy situation as indicated down below. Checkpoint Alpha. I actually think I had Checkpoint Alpha when I was younger. It was one of the activity sets that you could get from G.I. Joe. On the bottom there, also available, Ninja Temple Battle, which will also be a really neat one to get. And on the back, it shows the main station, as well as it looks like you get a Cobra bike. Of course, you get the 2 Kre-os, and you get Order. I hope you both get fleas. Ha ha! Oh, beachhead. And on the top, Law, Order, and Firefly in a Sears Portrait Studio pose. I can't wait to get this opened up. I'm gonna get this opened up, put it together. When we come back, we're gonna get a better look at Checkpoint Alpha. Stay tuned. With set A3361, you get yourself an instruction manual. Shows you how to put together Checkpoint Alpha. It's a fairly simple put together instructions. I think there's only about 12 steps. And on the back, other sets that you can get is the Serpent Armor Strike and also the Thunderwave Jet Boat. Now, the Thunderwave Jet Boat, I don't know if it's referring to the larger ship, but that definitely looks like a water moccasin. I think it was the water moccasin. And Copperhead, as looks like he's included. Also looks like we've got Stalker. Down here, possibly Grunt. At any rate, Spot's definitely very excited about getting these other sets. Transformers, again, was cool, but I think G.I. Joe is definitely where it's at for me, at least for build sets. This is, for me, a child dream come true. To be able to have G.I. Joe sets. I mean, imagine having multiple HISS tanks. Oh, I can just think of it now. Multiple HISS tanks that you can actually break up and blow up, as it were. My child senses are tingling right now. Anyways, moving that aside, the build time, by the way, for all this set was about 10 minutes. It didn't take Spot very long at all to put this together. One thing I also like about the box that comes with the Kre-os is that it's hinged. There's a little bit of tape, and when you're done, really, you could put the stuff back in the box and just keep it stored like that. That is a really neat idea, and I'm glad that Kre-o decided to go that route. So, moving that aside, other things that you would expect to come with a Kre-o is you get a Kre-o display stand. You only get one. I would have expected that you would have got one per Kre-o, but you only get one. That's fine. Speaking of Kre-os, the Kre-os that you get in this set, you get yourself Firefly. All are on a standard Kre-o body. Articulation, their head rotates left and right. Arms go out, and they also rotate all the way around. Rotation in the hand. Rotation in the waist. And the legs go forward, back, and slightly out. Well, a little more than slightly. You can see that Firefly is holding his blowtorch. If you don't want, you can take this off. You can just give him a standard machine gun if you want. But I'm more inclined to have him holding it, holding a blowtorch. So I'm just going to put that back on, like so. He's also got a knapsack, and the knapsack you can take some dynamite. Oh, it's got a timer on there. You can have him holding his dynamite. It seems to fall out though, so that's only one downside to it. He's got some dynamite though. There's also a clip on the side of his knapsack, and I'm pretty sure that is just to hold his gun. There might have been a secondary piece, or maybe it's just a generic, clip that they've used for other. You know what? We'll clip it like that. Hey, boom! There you go. So he can hold his blowtorch. As you can see, though, his dynamite is falling all over the place. But there you have Firefly. I think the detail is all there. It's definitely very. You know what I really like about these Kre-os too? What, Spot? I really like the... Thank you, Spot, for asking. What I really like about these sets is that they're catering to the G.I. Joe's, the Real American Hero line from the 80s. Not only am I noticing this with Firefly, obviously Law and Order. Checkpoint Alpha is, again, a set that I had when I was younger. And even looking at the other sets that we've got with the Trouble Bubbles, I think there's a Fang that I've seen there as well. It looks like they're all gearing this towards, us, the collectors that grew up with this. Ultimately, kids will buy these no matter what. The fact that they're gearing these towards the 80s line of G.I. Joes, I really like that a lot. There's front printing on Firefly. There is actually, I think, back printing as well. To take his knapsack off, we're just going to unscrew the head, and it's very similar to a Lego. There is some back printing there. Back his head. But there you have Firefly. Nice. Moving him aside, you also get yourself Law. He comes with a shield, a little bit of hair on that. I added that for effect. There is actually nothing sticker-wise. I'm just looking at these stickers. I've used up all the stickers on. There is the Kre-o sticker, but I really don't want to put that on there. I'm surprised there's actually no sticker for his shield. He does have a shield. He does have a handgun. He's got his guard's helmet as well, MP. Just take the shield off his hand. If he's willing to let go of it. There we go. He utilizes the same Kre-o body. Unfortunately, that means his flesh arms. He's got flesh-colored bracelets on as well. Same articulation, though. His helmet does remove, providing his head wants to stay. There we go. You can see he's got some hair going on there. But there's Law. I'm surprised we actually got Law as part of the set. He's also got his dog colleague, Order. Order! Sit! He's bringing the bomb back! Ah, sorry, Beachhead. I thought he was playing. He thought he was playing. In the instructions, it actually shows that you're supposed to assemble Law, but for starters, you're really only assembling his head, and actually when I got him out of the bag, he was already assembled. He's a cute little representation of Law, or Order, I should say, sorry, Order. He is a cute representation of Order. Moving him aside. And let's actually have a look at Checkpoint Alpha. For starters, well, vehicle-wise, you get yourself a Cobra bike. You see there's some Cobra stickers on the side. There's one there, and there's one there. Being that this is Kre-o and it's just a build-style brick, there are some build pieces here, some points where you can add extra pieces if you want. I don't have anything, for example, but I suppose, you know, if you wanted to, let's see if you can actually take his gun. You could peg it into the side of his bike if you wanted to. Not this way, it would disintegrate him, but you could have it this way. This is what we call imagination. It's nice to have it. And it's also nice to have build bricks that have interchangeable and universal peg points. So you can mix and match if you want. You could really even have the gun down here if you wanted to. Again, it's going to kind of point in the way because the clip's going to get in the way of that. But there are some options. I like that. The bike is kind of neat. Just a basic gray, light gray in the sides of the bike there. And then we got rolling tires, roll really well. You can take, pardon my arm, you can take Firefly. And I suppose he doesn't really sit on the bike as much as he just kind of stands over the bike. And you can kind of have him I guess you can kind of have him leaning over like this, like so. It's a very generic bike. I would love if this had been like a ferret. Was it a ferret? The one that was the Dreadnoks bike? Sorry, I'm going through my catalog, my child catalog in my head here. This could have even really been a couple of Dreadnoks you could have gotten this set too. That would have been neat. But Zartan, Kre-o, oh, one day. You get yourself a railing, a barrier there. I'm thinking it's not going to stand in the way of Firefly on his bike, but you get yourself a little railing. And lastly, you get yourself Checkpoint Alpha. This was actually a fun piece to build. It took me about 10 minutes or so to build it. There's some stickers for starters inside. You can see he's got a computer console with a keyboard, a red alert. You kind of close it up, I suppose, if you wanted to as well. And I like this. This kind of reminds me of the flag. Whether we're actually going to get a Kre-o flag, very unlikely. It probably will be about $700. On the side, there's sticker applied, restricted area, present ID. There's some stickers up at the top there, G.I. Joe, and also the American flag. One of the few times where I could actually get something in Canada, and I didn't end up having to get a Canadian flag. You're Canadian and you grew up in the 80s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everything in Canada, bought retail, was G.I. Joe, had a Canadian flag. It disappointed me immensely. I had the Triple T tank from Sergeant Slaughter. It was adorned with Canadian flags. I could have left the flags off, but I put the flags on as a kid. I don't know. On the front it says G.I. Joe Checkpoint Alpha. There's a searchlight. Authorized personnel only. The searchlight is movable. You can have it tilting down if you want, or up if you want to. That's not going to serve any purpose. There's an antenna. There is a ladder that you could have a Kre-o standing up at the top there. And lastly, you got yourself a missile, a rocket missile launcher or cannon. It's actually on a ball joint, so you can rotate it any which way you want. And there is actually a button lever right here. When you press it, maybe we'll do it over here. When you press it, it fires off a missile. And actually, it fires a pretty good distance as well. There is the missile. Kind of looks like something made by Nerf. And you can peg it back into place, and it sits right in there. Let's take Law, and you know what? We'll take his gun out. He's just going to be manning the station right now. Get his legs lined up. And you can have him inside Checkpoint Alpha. A little better than what Spot has just done, but you get the idea. You get the idea. And you can put it right there. You can put the barrier right there. Order can just be patrolling. And then you can have the Firefly with bike. This is a pretty cool set. This set, I think, cost Spot about $12. That may or may not have been right. But it's a fairly inexpensive set. And if you ask me, there's a lot of playability going on here. This got me really excited, so much so that I can't even speak English properly. But this has me super, super excited for future G.I. Joe Kre-os. Whether we will get them locally retail or Spot's going to have to look into getting them online, I definitely do want to pick up more of these. These have me extremely excited. This set, the Checkpoint Alpha, I'm going to give it an 8. It's got playability. It's got a couple of cool Kre-os. Really, really happy with it. Today's collectible spot, we're having a look at the Hasbro G.I. Joe Kre-os. This was set A3361 Checkpoint Alpha. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.